Crafty Babes, this is Andrea, and we're here to chat about all the ways we live our craftiest lives.
And I'm Melissa, and we want to inspire you to craft in a way that works for you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hi.
Hi.
How are ya?
I feel like we always start out like, hey.
I know. Today we are chatting about something I think is kind of a topic that a lot of people might struggle with because we all love the big projects. You know, the Allie Edwards week in the life, the day in the life, the 100-day project, any project that really takes us out of our kind of daily memory keeping and adds to it, compounds upon just the regular projects that we're used to. And in our group, one of our cool members, Jess Claire, she asked just a lot of questions about this topic. So I wanted to just hammer down some of her questions because I thought that they were all very good questions that a lot of people might be struggling with when they start these large projects. And, you know, maybe this will help everybody finish those large projects.
Sure. So the first question that Jess asked is, I just said first.
Okay.
First again, is do we do these projects? So I think kind of the main projects we're talking about would be like week in the life, day in the life, December daily, 100 days project. Are there any other kind of big ones?
Those are the three majors.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll stick with those.
So I have done a day in the life. I did one last year, I think. I was trying to remember if it was last year or the year before, but I have done one, and it was really fun to kind of, you know, have those glimpses throughout your day or making note of specific things that I wanted to document, like bedtime routines or whatever. So that was really fun. I have never done a week in the life because I've always been pretty behind in my project life album, and so to do week in the life required too much extra effort from me. So I have not done one, but I would like to do one, especially in regards to like our homeschooling week. Because then I could see the different things we do on different days. So even if I do that someday and kind of really just focus on our school day, you know, about when it begins and about when it ends, that might be something cool that I might do. And then December daily, I have done the past 2 years since I've been scrapbooking, and I love it. And I do that in place of my memory keeping in December. You know, I don't do project life throughout that time in addition to December daily. It's just this, you know, my December daily album.
Not a narrowed look, but a real wide look.
Yeah.
A detailed look, I guess.
Yeah, at December and all it entails. And then, like you mentioned, too, the 100 Days project. And I would say, no, I've never done that, but I'm doing 100 Days of Bible Promises this year with Illustrated Faith.
And you're still going good on that?
I'm still going good. I didn't bring any on my trip with me, so because I just knew we weren't going to have a ton of time on the road and everything, and so I just decided not to. So I'm a week or two behind, but I'm kind of plugging away at some simpler pages to get caught back up.
Nice.
So, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy these projects and have done them probably since their inception. I think my first week in the life was 2009, I want to say. Okay. But I have not done them every single time that Allie does them. And these days, because I'm doing a really detailed look at our week naturally, I'm not participating in the week in the life when it comes up. But I really do enjoy day in the life because it's a manageable project. I can be more focused for one day, I can really pay extra attention to certain things. And those are the things that I'd rather capture than what the whole week looks like, because the whole week I'm kind of already capturing that. And that's just, I know for me, I've tried a lot of different ways in doing Week in the Life. I've done it using her digital templates. Back in 2010, I did her digital templates, and that was easy. But when I was using digital elements and supplies and stuff, I was getting a little too detailed with certain things, and it just became too big of a project.
Yeah.
But I did finish it, and it looks really good, and it's fun. And it happened to be while my oldest son was playing football. Aww. So there was just a lot of really special things in that week. And I was also using a DSLR camera at the time. So my pictures were really awesome, and I could get cool self-timer shots, because you can set a DSLR anywhere. It's harder with an iPhone, just kind of you have to prop it up somewhere, or you're carrying around a little mini desk tripod or something. And then like you, December Daily, it's an every year absolute to take place of regular scrapbooking and memory keeping for that month, a real dialed in look. We both really love that project. Yes. We love December Daily.
And actually prepping for this show, I was like, December Daily. Like it switched that thing on my brain that was like, I mean, as a regular person, I'm like, oh, December's a million months away. But as a scrapbooker, I'm like, the December products should be coming out soon. Like, what's there going to be?
When can I start?
Year? What can I start ogling? And I want to know.
I know. It's too early. It's too early for that. Fine. Even though as in my magazine life, I'm already planning.
See, it's not too early.
December stuff.
Nana.
Yeah.
So planning
then for these projects, one of her questions was, do you plan before? And for me, of course, I mean, I think both of us will say, yeah, we absolutely, plan to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Specifically for me, I do the bare minimum as far as planning goes. And this is just something that I did put in our notes at the bottom as far as any tips, but I'm just going to say it now, because for me, if I spend all of my time and energy planning the thing and prepping for the thing, when I finally get to the thing, I don't want to do the thing. I'm over the thing. Yeah. So I just do the bare minimums. I know that about myself right now. So I decide on a format. I stick with it. I make a small starter kit that I can build on as I work on the project. So for example, if I'm working on the day in the life, I'm going to decide what supplies I'm going to use, and I'm going to pick some, digital kits, most likely, because they're easy. I can reprint any of the cards that I want to duplicate, and then I'm not waiting for product. I can do the project anytime I want. And then making that small kit just means that I'm not searching through my entire stash every time I'm working on that project.
Yeah.
But for Week in the Life or December Daily that has so much more involved in it, the kit's going to be bigger, and I am going to put probably a little bit more time into curating that kit, just because I need more.
Yeah.
I need more stuff. So what about you?
For Day in the Life, I don't think I've ever really bought a specific kit. I kind of just use what I have in it. Sometimes
that's a good idea.
Like if I have a bigger kit, like the Maggie Holmes Gather Core kit that we both have, I might go, okay, I'll use this as kind of my base, or I'll pick a certain paper pad and use that as kind of my base. But for Day in the Life, I probably wouldn't do any different kind of supplies. But for December Daily, Week in the Life, anything like that, I definitely, like you said, take that time to curate a kit. And so it usually starts, especially with December Daily, And I was trying not to talk too much about it because I'm sure later in the year we'll do a December daily show.
Yes.
Or episode. But I would probably start with picking a collection or two that's released that is kind of my favorite. Like last year it was Fa La La, Crepe Paper's Fa La La. And it was just a bomb. And so then everything else
so good.
I kind of picked around that. But December stuff, you know, has kind of those red and greens and then the peripheral colors or whatever you would call them.
Yeah, no, that's a good description. I like that.
And so it's, you can kind of go, I know I will have some red and green, or I know we'll have some things about a Christmas tree, you know, so you get those certain things. And so I would kind of use the same approach if I was doing any sort of specific mini album or anything, like my scrapbook for Mexico, you know, my little traveler's notebook. I went and purchased a couple travel things because I was like, okay, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be going to a beach. I can go get 1 or 2 beach or travel kits. And then from there, kind of use those colors and then the colors that I end up having in my photos to kind of put together some things I think will work. And then there's certain things like that I just know I'll use. Like I've talked about these so many times, but they're just a good example of a lot of different things. The white journaling cards from In a Creative Bubble. Like if they have plain journaling cards, or if they have holiday journaling cards, or if they have beach journaling cards, I'll grab whatever that I have or whatever new ones. And I know there will be some way I will use those. Or you and I both have some of the paper doilies from Michaels. And so I'll pull out 1 or 2 different colors or even one doily of every color and put it in there. Some of my neutral washi tapes. And then once I have a better idea of the colors, then I can kind of go in and add some more color specific things. And then as for, you know, prepping a specific book, like in December Daily, I'll prep things that don't have a photo on them, like a title page that says, you know, December Daily 2018, or week dividers if I'm going to divide it up into weeks. Or with my trip album, I might go ahead and do a title page and, you know, intro page about how we decided to go to Mexico and what made us decide to pick this place or whatever. And just kind of, but as for prepping any pages, like I won't put any paper down anywhere or, you know,
pre-pocket any cards.
No, because I don't know what's going to be on that page, you know. So
agreed.
But like you and I both talked about, we'll kind of make that kit that has things in it so that we don't have to dig through our entire stash. And not that we don't ever, but it just cuts down on the amount of times you have to.
Absolutely. Yep. One of the other questions she asked, speaking of kind of format and products, is, you know, what format and products are you using? And we talked about making our own kit. And when I'm doing a day in the life, I'll just use this as an example specifically because it's the project I'm going to do more often, because I will do that a couple of times a year. And I'm always going to gravitate towards supplies that have what I consider my everyday photo colors. And that's going to be the colors that show up in my photos on a regular basis. So green, because there's going to be pictures with grass in it. Blue, because there's going to be pictures with sky. My kids are boys, they wear blue. You know, if they're wearing a color, it's going to be something like blue or red or a primary color. And then I'm going to be in it. So I'm, you know, going to throw in some pinks or some yellows, just depending on what, you know, shirt I might be wearing. And then just, you know, build from there, because then I'm never fighting to get my photos to match my supplies. And that's why I don't typically use or buy any themed kits for the week in the life. I'll get things that have an everyday kind of feel to them. In a Creative Bubble has obviously so many great options when it comes to a day in the life project. And then I will sometimes pick up one of Allie's kits if the colors are
if it's
what
neutral enough. Or
it's usually going to be the digital kit so that I can, you know, pick what I want. But yeah, it has to, I don't want my photos to be competing with the supplies, and I don't want to struggle with that. So part of the choosing, especially when you're doing a non-themed project like Week in the Life or Day in the Life, I would suggest keeping your supplies as neutral and unthemed as possible.
Yeah.
So, but then, throwing in a themed piece of ephemera or something as you're going along. And, maybe you guys went to the pool, and so you have a little floaty that you want to include, that's fine, but I wouldn't build your kit around that kind of theme. Totally. You know what I mean?
And it all depends for me as a, decently budget conscious person, aka cheap. It's all going to depend on how expensive the kit is. And so if I see that Sweet Shop Designs is having a 50% off sale on all their stuff, and I see a pool kit, I might buy one that's $2.99 because it's $2.99. Whereas if it were $4.99, $5.99, $6.99, whatever, I might go, I probably wouldn't use it enough to justify paying that amount of money for it. But if it's a little bit less, I'll go that way. If I don't end up using the whole thing, which most likely I wouldn't for something that themey.
Yep.
I don't feel like I wasted my money. Or it kind of would depend if the papers are neutral enough and the embellishments are really themey. Maybe I would get it because I would still use the papers. It kind of all just depends on how themed the kit is.
Exactly. And that's what's great about the digital supplies is that a lot of those kits, they come bundled and they come unbundled.
Yes.
So if you feel like you want to be able to use the papers as backgrounds and stuff for layouts, but you don't think that you'll use the embellishment pack or the alpha pack, then you can save a little money and just get the papers. And then you've got a color scheme that you can build on and, maybe just use the papers, build your own kit with your supplies that you already have. Yep. Or if you feel like you have more pattern paper than, anybody in the entire world, but you might need some everyday embellishments, then maybe you just grab the embellishment pack or the journal card pack. And that's what's cool. That's what I love most about the digital kits is that you really can pick and choose what you're going to need for this project.
Yep. Very rarely, even with physical kits, do I buy the entire collection?
Right.
I'm trying to think. I think the last thing that I probably bought the entire collection of just in a package was the Family Fun bundle from Ellie's Studio. I think that was what it was called.
Yep, Family Fun.
That was like last fall or whatever that was.
Yep.
And that just had such good neutral colors, and I know Ellie's Studio stuff, and I know I will use that kit until it's, beaten and bloody.
You'll kill it.
Exactly. But whereas I was looking at a kit online, I was just looking at scrapbook.com and what new stuff they had and came across this really cute travel collection. I don't even remember who it was by. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. But again, an entire whole kit on travel stuff is just so specific. So I went to look at the papers because I was like, maybe if I just bought this 6x6 paper pad and maybe the embellishment pack, or after I looked at it, I was like, I could just buy the 6x6 paper pack and cut up some of the things and basically turn them into embellishments. But
like we've talked about.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But pretty much every single paper was super, super travel specific. I was like, I just wouldn't even use that much travel specific stuff in a travel album. Not every page is going, I'm traveling, like screaming
exactly. It's a little overkill.
Exactly. And so it was so cute, but I was like, don't really need to acquire that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So another question is, do we go off of a list of things that we want to capture? Mm. And we both answered that we definitely do. Mm-hmm. And it's real loose. It's like, I definitely want to try to get this. Mm-hmm. I want to try to get Gibson leaving for school because, he leaves for school on his own. He drives himself to school, that kind of thing. I would like and I always make a list, and it's either a list on my phone, or I usually have a couple of sticky notes or a notebook that I'm, whatever kind of format I'm currently using to like keep track of the things in my brain. Then I'll, make a little physical list to just jot things down. Especially, I do this mostly before once I've decided I'm going to do the project.
Yes.
Then I start to think about what things I want to include. And then every time something comes up, I'll just go back to the list and add it. Mm-hmm. As I'm thinking about it, because I will never remember when I get to the day or the week. You're always a little more consumed with the physical remembering of taking the extra photos.
Oh, yeah.
So trying to remember all the other things is a little difficult, in my opinion.
There's something about just writing. I'm just more likely to remember something if I write it down.
100%.
So if I go, make this big old list, and I may not get everything on the list, or I may add things to the list. Mm-hmm. But if I kind of start with that basis, especially in a project I've done several times before, if you do Week in the Life every year, if you do December Daily every year, if you do Day in the Life multiple times a year, and you want to not get the same exact shots, maybe this time you did Day in the Life, you got Gibson leaving for work, and next time you want to get Marshall waking up because he sleeps in later than everybody, or which he doesn't. But
true.
Just something to keep your project from looking the exact same every time you do it.
Yeah.
Or maybe every year you go, I always want to, you drive by your neighbor's house and you're like, they have the best lights display. I need to get a photo of that. And you just, it just leaves your brain. And so, writing it down, or I think another thing that's super helpful is, especially when I do Day in the Life, is setting alarms every hour.
Yes.
Because then I just go, okay, and I don't immediately stop and take a photo because I may be in the bathroom. Like, I don't need to necessarily take a picture of myself in the bathroom. But I may go, okay, in about a 5-minute period of time, what photo would best encapsulate what we're doing right now? And I may take, I may take a specific photo. If it's 12 o'clock and we just finished lunch, I may still go ahead and take a photo of our lunch and go, just finished lunch, or eating lunch. I'm not necessarily lying about what's happening, but, if we've just put everything in lunch away and we're kind of killing time until nap time, I may not feel like killing time. A photo of nothing is the best way to describe
how the day's going.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's totally fine to do, and I've done before, if you miss a photo, you can fudge. You can use a different photo, like from a different point in time, especially if you haven't scrapbooked it. And I think even if you need to use that photo again, chances are of somebody looking through your album and going, you use that exact photo in another place. Like,
which one is real?
Police aren't going to come get you.
Exactly.
Or using a professional photo from the internet. I know there's different, like, you have to be careful with copyrights and stuff like that.
Sure.
But if you watched a movie...
But like a movie. Totally. We were both going the same place.
You don't have to take a photo of you sitting and watching TV. Sometimes it might look better or might be easier. And there's certain times, too, of the day where I try to put my phone away and not have it on me, because I'll just reach for it and open things and scroll. And so I'll go, here, I'll take this photo of books as we're getting ready for bed, and then I'll put it away, and that'll be the photo that I use, or, whatever. So, it you can kind of do whatever you want with your albums because they're yours.
Yes. Well, on one of on the vein of you and talking about the lists, I had a thought, and there's something special about maybe the same photo every year.
Totally.
And it got me thinking that it could be cool if you looked back at previous projects. Like I'm going to, maybe go look back at the last day in the life that I did and see if there's anything that would look different, even if it was the same shot.
That's a good idea.
So like, for example, the one that's coming to my head is me folding the laundry. Mm-hmm. So at one point in time, maybe I was folding laundry on the bed. Well, maybe at a different time, I'm folding laundry somewhere else. Same task, same idea, but maybe it's a different shot. Or you're still folding laundry on the bed at this time in your life, but maybe your hair looks different. So take the same shot. Same thing with your kids. They're going to look different a year later, 6 months later. So maybe going back, looking at your old albums, and do that with December daily too, especially because with December, a lot of the same stuff repeats year after year.
Yeah.
You're looking at lights. Those traditional things are all typically staying the same. The action or the event is the same, but how can you make it different?
Changed, or the climate
or
has
the location.
changed.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and
so
even,
maybe go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Even like with your tree, your tree, maybe you put it in a different place, or maybe it's in the exact same place, but obviously your kids are going to look different standing in front of it. Or maybe, one year you put burlap ribbon around the tree, and the next next year you decide to do really big shiny balls. You just, you can kind of things that might be, that would show a change in your family or in your life or different things like that. I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, and even if it's the same thing, if your days typically look the same, maybe you're taking a picture of the same thing, but in a different way. Mm-hmm. So I'll go back to the laundry. I took a photo. I rested the phone in front of me on some towels I had already folded, so that I could prop the phone up. And I took the shot of me like kind of bending down toward the bed and physically folding. But what if next year I just take a picture of the finished towels folded nicely on the shelf? Mm-hmm. Think about a different way to capture the same thing.
Yeah. And I
not
think
just if it's changed, if it's exactly the same, you got to kind of change it up.
Just kind of, or purposefully going, it actually looks the exact same this year, and making a note of that and going, I think you kind of find your focus and you kind of go, what exactly am I trying to convey here? Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're doing the exact same thing and you take a photo in a different way and you say, yes, I'm doing laundry again.
It's the worst thing ever.
You focus on a different aspect of it, but it's only Matt and I's laundry. The boys do their own.
Yeah.
You tell a different side to that same story.
Yeah. So powerful.
Totally.
Yeah. Agreed. So talking about photos, she wants to know how we narrow them down. Mm-hmm. And I think we've talked about this a few times. Mm-hmm. This topic, photos come up a lot in our in the questions that people ask us, and we always tend to kind of gravitate back toward these same kind of topics just because they're big topics and they're ongoing. And but culling photos there's never really a science to it. It's a feel, and it is kind of just, what am I trying to convey? Like you just said, what story do I want to tell, and which one of these tells it best? And like, for example, with my day in the life, I did it last year it was sometime in the fall, either September, October, or November, something like that. And I was still doing the 12 by 12 pockets for that year. And it took 1/2 spread, 2 full spreads, and then another half spread. So 6 full spreads to just tell the one day's worth of pictures.
Yeah.
And that really, they needed to be narrowed down, yes, but you can also try not to take that many photos. Mm-hmm. Like you said, take a photo an hour. And there's this other project I used to do, and I still actually have a reminder in my phone, and it's called 12 on 12. And it's the 12th day of every month. You do a photo every hour for 12 hours.
Yeah.
it's very similar to a day in the life, but you're kind of going, I'm going to pick 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yep.
And, you have the every hour and you're like, what's this hour look like? So maybe giving yourself some limitations, some boundaries could help with the amount of photos that you find yourself taking. So that could be a way to kind of even just avoid having to select from 100 pictures.
Yeah. Well, and I think another thing too, I don't know that I would ever do this, but for someone who wanted to do kind of a project lifestyle documenting and didn't want to scrapbook all the time, if you basically only did week in the lives, day in the lives, and December dailies, you did say 2 or 3 week in the lives throughout the year, 2 or 3 day in the lives throughout the year, and then your December daily. So then with that, you could go, okay, it's okay if I take multiples because these are kind of my only projects, and you have this set of week in the lives, you have this set of day in the lives, especially if you feel like your life doesn't have a ton of variety, being able, going, okay, it's okay if I just do kind of some bigger projects, and it doesn't mean you never scrapbook any other time, because those projects take quite a bit of time. So honestly, you'd still be kind of a full-time scrapbooker, but only doing it in chunks of projects versus like an ongoing project lifestyle like we both do.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Good thought.
And then, I think this might be the last question. Yeah, I think it is. We work on our albums during the week? So I said, because I'm at home, most days, then and I've talked about this in the past, but I kind of just leave my stuff out and work on it whenever I have snippets of time. And so, I'm not always doing a ton of work, but if I can add a thing here and there, if I'm editing my photos throughout the day, and then I'll work on the actual pages in the evening, or, I don't really have a specific time that I ever scrapbook. It's just kind of whenever I have time around all the stuff I have going on. So that's kind of what I usually do, even with projects like that. And when I do December daily, I try really, really hard to work on it every day, because otherwise I will just get too behind. So I try really hard to work on it every day. And another thing that I had noted but forgot to mention is when I put together my kit, I try to put it in a tote or a box or a scrapbook organizer or something to where I can print my photos, stick them in there, and just take the whole box or whatever it is of what I'm using, and I can take it to the basement, I can take it upstairs, I can take it in the living room, wherever the rest of my family is, and I can kind of work there if I need to, if we're watching a movie together, or if they're playing a game and I just want to be near them or whatever, so that way I'm not tied to my desk, and that helps a lot too.
Yeah. For December daily, I'm very similar. I have to touch it a little bit each day, even if it's just working on one small 6x8 pocket page, or just printing photos, or I've got to do something to keep up, basically, or you do fall behind, and I've been there where I'm working on my December daily in June, and I did not like it. I did not like it, and I promised I would never let myself get too far past January without finishing it. But for a project like Day in the Life, that I am not working throughout like the day, or even week in the life. I'm not working on it every day, because what I would prefer, and what I think is a better use of time each day, and we've talked about this with just like documenting larger trips and larger events, is that you use the evening time, for example, to edit your photos. So that's what I typically like to do with a day in the life or a week in the life. Is my downtime, I like to go, okay, well, I just took 5 photos. I'm really excited about them. Let me just do a quick edit on them. And that way I know that I'm using these 5 photos.
Yep.
And then that decision is already made, and you're not sitting with 100 photos that you have to narrow down to 20.
Yeah.
You know, you've already gone through them and you've already made those decisions. And I like you had said something about like just ripping off a Band-Aid,
Yeah.
you know, when you're looking at the photos and trying to figure out which ones to use. Sometimes you do just have to make a quick instinctual decision and just be okay with it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's certain things I'll look for, like if a photo is really good, if the kids are both looking at the camera and have really nice smiles, or if it's a family photo of all of us, even if it's not a great quality, or if it's something different, you know, but if it's a similar shot to something I've gotten before, I'll either not include it, or I'll go, what do I have space for in this layout? You know, do I want this to be a one photo layout? Can I make it a no photo layout? Do I, you know, I definitely try to use the photos that I take, but sometimes when it comes down to it, especially because I tend to err on the side of taking too many, sometimes I just have to go, I'm just not going to use these because they just don't go with, if I only have one more page left to do, I have to go, I'm only using one photo, and I just have to kind of make a gut decision, and and the rest, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but we both kind of keep a box of, at least last time I checked, you did, and I still do this, of photos we don't end up using in our albums. Like we took them, we thought we were going to use them, we printed them out, and they just didn't make it in there. And then if you ever need to do something specific, for if you want to make a card for a grandparent and include a photo, if you're trying to make something specific for a specific kit, like going back to school or whatever, you kind of just have this stash of already printed photos you can kind of pull from, and that's another way to make scrapbooking sometimes easier too.
True. And yeah, I was just going to say, it's okay to not use photos that you've printed. And that was, you know, you can, if you're having a hard time making the decision, just print both of them. And when it's like game time, then you can make a decision then.
Yeah.
Instead of having to make it early.
There have totally been times where I've gone back through that box and go, oh, this one will be perfect for, sometimes I'm kind of just doing a little thing in my personal album about, you know, being a boy mom or being a girl mom, or about me and Chad or whatever. And I don't necessarily have a photo for that. So I'll look back, what do I have in my stash of photos, and just grab something from there because I want to scrapbook about something specific, you know, something that's on my heart or mind at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I agree. I think we got through all her questions.
All the questions.
This was one question, people.
I know. One question with a lot of parts.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that she asked all of these specific pieces, because I do feel like they're all really important parts of a large project like this. And we have both finished December dailies consistently, and I think we both feel really good about that. And we definitely want other people to do and start and finish projects that are big, and to hopefully not make them so overwhelming.
Yes.
So hopefully these tips helped you, and we're going to wrap up this episode for now. But we'll be seeing you next week, and don't forget to join our Facebook group. It's called Hey Crafty Babes, and it's now closed. Not closed as far as you can't get in, but apparently when I started it, it was a public group, and people were not posting because they were afraid that their like Facebook friends would see the stuff that they posted in there, and it never even dawned on me.
I never
so
even
actually
thought about that.
Never thought about it either. So one of our members, she had very sweetly asked, "Would you mind making it closed? I want to post a photo, but I don't think my work friends will understand." And so I thought, oh my gosh, I felt like such a dork for not even
that aspect.
Totally missing that. And with close to 600 members, it's probably time for it to be a closed group. You still have to answer some crafty questions in order to be approved. So there still is an approval process, but I guess it being closed just means that other people cannot see the feed.
Yeah.
Only members can see the feed. It does. And just, I feel like just face palm. And And then just a couple of other little notes is that my spring Retro Hit magazine is still available for sale if you did not grab it. And there is going to be a newsletter coming out from me that will have a little discount. So if you want a little discount on the spring issue, then go sign up for my newsletter. You can do that directly from Instagram. Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes too, or in the Facebook group.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have a giveaway going right now for a digital copy of your magazine?
Yes. Yay. But it ends Friday night.
Oh,
so this episode will air. No, it's fine because this episode will air Friday morning.
So you won't have much time. But if you
won't have much time. Yes.
You might could win.
And that's an Instagram giveaway. So make sure you go to Instagram and look for the big red giveaway post.
Yes.
It's hard to miss. It's not hard to miss?
No, I was saying yes, it's not hard to miss.
Okay. I'm confusing myself with double negatives.
Oh gosh. I just said gush. It doesn't even make sense.
Gosh. And then and the spring issue will always be available at the where it is, but the summer issue is so close. It releases on July 15th, so be on the lookout for that. It's pretty much double the size. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Be on the lookout for that. And I think that's all.
I think that's all.
Yeah. So, guess this is us making the world a craftier place, one
big project
at a time. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. We will talk soon. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.